on the Stadium Journeys Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of countries drink a couple of beers and discuss a stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
We're excited to be here with you tonight. Hey, before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel. You're already there because you're watching this video. Like the video and feel free to leave a comment. Tell us what a great job we're doing. Don't say anything bad. It hurts our feelings. check out stadiumjourney.com for all of our fantastic content. So let's get rolling. Dave, what are you drinking today?
So I picked this one purely because of the picture on the can and because I didn't want an IPA. So, of course, being a Blue Jays fan, and they're so bad this year that you just got to grab onto anything that kind of makes you smile about the Blue Jays. So I got this one from Cameron's Brewing Company in Oakville, Ontario. It's a Pastime Pilsner, and it's got like a little Blue Jay on the can there.
Oh, I thought that was a penguin. Okay.
No. I can understand that though. So yeah, it's funny. It's got the Blue Jay on the can, and this beer totally reminds me of like Labatt's Blue. Which, funny enough, I feel like you can only get in the States now. I can't say I've seen a Labatt's Blue kicking around Ontario in a long time. But it's all over Buffalo. So, yeah, Pastime Pilsner, Cameron Brewing in Oakville. What do you got?
Is that like a Molson Canadian? Because you probably can't get those in Canada.
Molson Canadian, you definitely can.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Anyway, what do I have? I have a bird on my can, too. It's a Blue Jay. See, it's a dead Blue Jay. Actually, it's a buzzard because this is an old Buzzards Pale Ale from Buzzards Bay Brewing in Westport, Mass, which is right near Buzzards Bay. So it all ties in. It's very local in that way. You know me. We've talked about beers, and I'm not an IPA kind of guy. So when I picked out this beer, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But it's not quite an IPA because it's a pale ale. So I don't know if that means it's not an IPA. It's just a PA. But anyway, it's somewhere in between, and it's got a little bit of spice to it. I think when I first took my first sip, I was like, oh, Christmas. So it's got that kind of spice profile to it. So it's actually a real good beer. If you're not a fan of the bitter beers, this one I think stops a little bit short of that bitterness that the IPAs have. So I'll give it a tentative thumbs up. Not my favorite from Buzzards Bay Brewing, but it's a good beer. So worth a shot if you're in Westport. If we were visiting today's destination, we might be drinking get ready for this name, a Frosty Morning Powerful Porter. Do you put cornflakes in your beer on a frosty morning? I don't know. That's an old Norm line from Cheers. A little too early to drink, Norm? Well, put a cornflake in my beer then. Anyway, the Frosty Morning Powerful Porter is from Brewtopia in Montreal, Quebec, because today we're talking about Percival Molson Memorial Stadium, home of the Montreal Alouettes. Before we take a look at the stadium in our discussion, let's take a look at the stadium vitals.
So to take off our discussion on the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League, we decided to bring in a ringer. So we brought in podcast host, season ticket holder, host of Alouettes Flight Deck, and all-around Montrealer, Tim Capper. Thanks for joining us today, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me, as usual. I love joining you guys.
So I always love this story about how I say that the Alouettes were actually saved, because for those who don't know, the Alouettes were a franchise that started back in the 40s, went through to like 87, and then there was nothing. No football in Montreal for a number of years. The CFL did their American experiment, and that ended up with the Baltimore Ravens getting a team from Cleveland, and the best team in the American CFL ended up moving back to Montreal. But they were in trouble. They weren't going to last until one fateful day they were saved. Didn't really know it at the time. How did that happen?
Well, the year was 1997. The Owls were good that year. This is their second year back in the league because they came back after the Baltimore Stallions moved to Montreal and back in '96. And the Owls were good, and they were going to host the CFL Eastern semifinal. But there was a problem. U2, yeah, the group, not the airplanes, had booked the Big O, which is where they were playing at the time, for a concert. It was the Pop Mart tour. So that same night, so there was some real, scrambling going on within the organization to try to find a place, and they ended up moving to Percival Molson Stadium, which is where they have been ever since. And so the team can actually thank the group U2 for them still being around, because as you said, they were in some trouble. They were in some trouble. Being at the Big O and stuff like that, they weren't drawing very well, even though they had a good team and stuff like that. Because this wasn't the Big O can be good for a Grey Cup whenever it's hosted there. They'll draw in close to 65,000 plus people, but again, if it wasn't for U2 booking it, having to move to Percival Molson Stadium, the rest was history. The team still to the day pays homage to the group for every Sunday game that we play. They always play Sunday Bloody Sunday. Other games they'll play Beautiful Day,
Nice
stuff like that. So it's coming up on the 27th anniversary since the game was played, and I'm thankful each day for the group U2. So it's team would not be what it is today.
And that game, it was so popular, and it became the place to be, and I guess that everybody had such a great time, and then it became a possibility. Now, of course, Percival Molson Memorial Stadium is the oldest venue in the CFL, built in 1915. And it's quite significantly the oldest venue in the CFL now.
Yeah.
Had to go through some changes, but definitely offers a really unique atmosphere that you're not going to find at any other CFL venue.
No, I agree with you. Again, Percival Molson is it is a unique place. It's it's not your standard college stadium. It's not your standard pro stadium in any way. It's even though it is smack dab in the middle of McGill University's downtown campus, but there are a lot of unique things to this stadium. I mean, I've been through the different iterations before they had the expansion in the early 2010s to now, and even today, I think just recently, one of the home games that we had, it just gets loud. And if you have the opposing coach saying specifically that it is just a loud place to play, then it is a you have to be there to experience it. It all the amenities that everything else does in the CFL. But it's a unique place to be, and talks about going back to the Big O or whatever. I was like, no. Don't give up what you currently have, because it is a unique slice within the CFL.
And that location, I think, is where it all starts, right? It's the best word I can use to describe it is it's nestled. It's right in that there's a hill on the one side, there's the street on the other side. In one end zone, you have the Montreal neurological building. On the other side, you have wrought iron gates that are kind of your main entry, and you've got the big old university buildings. The McGill campus is in and of itself is probably one of the most unique campuses for university in Canada, and there I don't know if it's possible to expand on it anymore. There's nowhere to go. But it just has its own really unique flavor to it. Not to mention the fact that it's half, 3/4, depending on your perspective, is French.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, well, it's the city itself. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things, that ever since the Alouettes have come back, it really has, the Francophone population has really embraced football. And you just go look and you see what has been done, over in Quebec City at Université de Laval, or you check out what they've done, another French university in Montreal is Université de Montréal, University of Sherbrooke. They've embraced it, and if it, I honestly say, I think if it wasn't for the Owls, these places wouldn't have become what they did. And, because really Quebec has become a hotbed for football. It really has. And just look at the players that are currently in the CFL, the ones that actually played in Quebec, and look at the guys who have played actually in Quebec and aren't playing in the CFL. They're playing elsewhere, whether it be NFL or wherever. So it's again, it's a very unique place. I've sat in many different seats there at Percival Molson. I mean, could it have some more stuff, added to it? Yeah, sure. I mean, you're sitting on most of the, I think 90% of the stadium is benches. It's not, single seats. So I mean, it can be a little cold on some of those cold fall nights, or, if we get into, late October, but yeah, you get used to it. I mean,
it's cold in Hamilton. It's cold in Winnipeg. It's cold in Saskatchewan. It's cold everywhere except for maybe Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, but as I said, I mean, without the seats, so I mean, who knows what will happen in the future? As I said, it's a unique partnership between the team and McGill University. So I mean, really, the team has put the most work into the stadium since they came back in '96, since they came back in '97. So it's, again, it may be the oldest, but it does have a lot of charm. I know some people don't, you don't have these type of amenities and stuff like that. Just if you haven't gone, most people need to experience Percival Molson for at least just one game, because it's a very unique experience, no matter where you sit.
I think that the location and just the environment is one piece, but they've really gone kind of above and beyond on the game day sort of production to sort of you can't erase the physical piece that is the stadium. You can't erase the bleachers. You can't erase that some of the concourses are pretty narrow and there's stairs going here, there, and everywhere. And that's kind of just the way it is. It's always going to be like that. You can't change that. But to bring in that atmosphere, like, and I'm not sure if this is a more recent addition. They had kind of they've sort of incorporated the celebrity to the pregame. They bring the celebrity down to unlock the cage, and then the cage is where all the players come charging out of, an inflatable thing, and with the cage on the front, and you have your typical football kind of parts to it. You have your cheerleaders. You have, for an Anglophone, I mean, it's totally neat hearing the announcer, say "Fair du bruit," which means, make some noise, and call for a touche, which is also the name of the mascot. The game day atmosphere is just totally different than anywhere else, and it really it really kind of pushes it up to kind of the next level than really anywhere else I've kind of seen.
I think it's also because too, if you've seen a game at I guess any of the other stadiums too, or if you had seen a game at the Olympic Stadium, the thing that people hated about the Olympic Stadium is that you're so far away from the field. That's totally opposite than what it is over at Percival Molson. You're really right on top of the action, and it doesn't matter what seat you have. You literally are right on top of the action. So I think that's what helps is that you're so close. The crowd can really, besides the game itself, the crowd can play an integral part in the game, by bringing the noise, by bringing the infamous horns that are making their rounds now on television and stuff like that, that you either love them or you hate them on television, that is, because I think usually most of the time in stadium, you really don't hear them.
Yeah.
But it's a great place to be. And it's even the slight modifications that they do, sometimes they've added VIP sections there in the past, which do have new, seats. They have a business section there. They've brought in with our new owner, Pierre Carbello coming in. We have a pregame concert. Somebody brought either local or whatnot, or they'll do something at halftime. Just a few years ago at halftime, we had Our Lady Peace.
Nice.
And that was huge. So it's having a good stadium, is important. Having a good owner is even more important, obviously, in the CFL. But then again, you have to have the product too. And it just so happens that the Alouettes have been doing pretty good over the past couple of years. So.
And with the stadium, and we've talked about some of the minuses. I mean, another one of the minuses is definitely the location, in that it's not a driver-friendly location. You're not going to find a whole whack of parking lots. I can't say that I've ever been brave enough to drive to Molson Stadium. But on the flip side, by not having that, you have one of the best neighborhoods, if not the best neighborhood in the entire CFL. You're 2 blocks from St. Catherine Street, which is right in the center of Montreal. You're a 20-minute walk from the Bell Center where the Canadiens play. I'm not sure if there's a better location in the CFL outside of the stadium.
I mean, there are plus and minus. I went to Hamilton last year. Obviously Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field is smack dab in the middle of a residential area. This one's slightly different because it really is it's a university stadium. It's a university area, but it's not a university town, so I think the stadiums, sure, you got to potentially take a shuttle bus or walk from the metro to the stadium, or if you happen to get a parking spot, off of Pine Avenue or something like that, or it's just a matter of, it's all about the experience itself. And I said, it kind of reminds me of what it's like walking in from, you go to the one of the big NCAA stadiums. It's kind of like that. Everybody converges into one central location.
If you're going, I would say make a point of going to, I want to say, the north side, and try and make your entrance to on the north side. I think that's where the wrought iron gates are. Do I have that direction right?
That's the east side. Yeah, east. But that's taking the gates are facing Montreal Park.
Yeah.
So it's I would say there for first time. Yeah, I would say go in there.
It's that the side on Pine it almost looks like a parking garage.
Yeah. Actually, during the week it is.
It is a park. Okay, then. But yeah, it's you really get that experience, and one of the great things that I love about the CFL is that the schedule is just so much better than in the States, where you're not waiting for the fall. It's not 3/4 of your season is freezing. You have the summer months. So hey, a nice summer road trip to Montreal and take in a game at Molson for the Alouettes and walk in on a nice summer night through the wrought iron gates and right in, and this stadium does a fantastic job of displaying its history. Like if you're a history buff, you can spend probably 35 minutes to an hour just reading up on Percival Molson, on the stadium itself, on the area, everything at that East End.
Yeah, because as soon as you're walking in right past the ticket booth and the will call booth, you do have an area there. I guess the little history rotunda, I guess we could call it, where they do talk about the history and have some historical pictures. And because Percival Molson was used during the 1976 Olympics. I mean, as you said, it's been around for such a long time. It's been a multi-use stadium for years. Even before the Alouettes came there, because Percival Molson wasn't the first place that the Alouettes played at. From they played there, in the earlier days, but they played at other stadiums also. But again, it's Percival Molson is that type of place where you can come for the game, but you can also stay for the history, that type of thing, because there is quite a bit of stuff around it. And I guess you just want to make sure you go, just depending on where you're going to sit, what night you come in, who the Owls are playing that night. And to be honest too, I know we were talking, the Owls itself, but maybe come and see a McGill Redbirds game, their team in U Sport, because it's a different atmosphere. It's more college, more college feel to it. Not as many people do attend, but I've been to a few games there for college football, and it's a slightly different experience as far as not the crowd size and whatnot. But again, it doesn't matter how good or bad the Redbirds are. They have a very dedicated fan base also.
So, sum it up: if you have the means, make sure you get to a game at Percival Molson Stadium. It's amazing. And the number of things that I said that I don't like about the stadium itself, it's still my favorite CFL experience. To me, it's still the best. I haven't been to all of them. I'm missing kind of that sandwich in between, but I think the Alouettes are the best CFL experience. So that's our look at Montreal Alouettes football at Percival Molson Memorial Stadium. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Cheers.